Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha Television. I am Aishwarya Kapoor with you. Let us begin with the headlines. Last day of monsoon session of Parliament, a discussion on draft national education policy to continue in Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha to discuss sustainable development goals. Prime Minister's chair all-party meet on prevailing Kashmir situation at noon today. Curfew continues in Valley for the 35th day in a row today after unrest began following the killing of Hizbul militant Burhan Wani. Rajya Sabha passes the Maternity Benefit Amendment Bill 2016. Bill increases maternity leave with pay from 12 to 26 weeks. Companies and institutions with over 50 employees will need to provide creches for children. CBI files a charge sheet in Antrix Devas deal, names former ISRO chairman G. Madhavan Nair and other senior officials for facilitating wrongful gain of 578 crore rupees to private company Devas. And after a gap of 36 years, the Indian men's hockey team reaches the quarter-finals at the Rio Games. Mixed doubles pair of Sania Mirza and Rohan Bopanna also seal quarter-final spot. Well, today is the last day of the monsoon session of Parliament. Slated today are the following bills in both houses of Parliament. In the Rajya Sabha, Home Minister Rajnath Singh will move a motion for reference of the Citizenship Amendment Bill 2016 to a joint committee. Arun Jaitley will move for the return of the Appropriation Number 3 Bill 2016 and the Taxation Laws Amendment Bill 2016. Bandaru Dattatreya will move the Employees Compensation Amendment Bill 2016 and the Factories Amendment Bill 2016. Also, further discussion will take place on the draft National Education Policy 2016. Meanwhile, in the Lok Sabha, the Mental Health Care Bill 2016 will come up for consideration. Also, the Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Bill 2016 will be tabled. There will also be further discussion on sustainable development goals under Rule 193. Both houses will also see private members' legislative business being conducted today. On to the other big story. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will chair an all-party meeting on the prevailing situation in Kashmir at 12, that is noon today. The decision to hold the meeting came after opposition parties insisted on starting the process of dialogue. Now, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti also appealed to the Prime Minister to begin the dialogue process with the people of the valley. The Rajya Sabha had on Wednesday, remember, discussed the situation in the valley and adopted a resolution that expressed concern and anguish at the prolonged turbulence and loss of lives. Remember, at least 55 people have been killed and more than 5,000 wounded, including security personnel in the month-long unrest. More than 300 people have suffered injuries because of pellet guns, including 171 with eye injuries, further fueling the anger against the forces and the government. The unrest has began after the killing of Hizbul Mujahideen commander Burhan Wani on 8th of July. Meanwhile, in related news, curfew and shutdown continued in Kashmir Valley for the 35th day in a row today, while restrictions remained in force in Pulwama, Kulgam, Shopian and Anantnag, including 8 police station areas of Srinagar city. However, some private transport and pedestrian movement were seen at many places in Srinagar and other major towns of the valley. Well, despite marginal improvement in law and order situation, schools, colleges, business establishments, petrol pumps and private offices remained closed, while public transport also remained off the roads. Separatists continue to remain under preventive detention, although they have been issuing weekly protest calendars asking people not to resume normal activities. And India has once again strongly rebuffed Pakistan's claims on Kashmir, saying that it has no locus standi on the matter. Now, addressing the media, MEA spokesperson Vikas Swarup said that Pakistani terrorist Bahadur Ali's arrest from Kashmir has revealed details of training young men undergo prior to infiltrating into India, which is another proof of Pakistan's continued involvement in the cross-border terrorism and infiltration into the country. Responding to a question on Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's writing to the UN Secretary General on the Kashmir issue, Swarup said that India is in touch with international interlocutors to put across the correct picture, and Pakistan's attempt to internationalize the issue, which that will not whitewash cross-border terrorism that is being supported by Pakistan.
Pakistan has no locus standi in addressing any aspect of the situation in Jammu and Kashmir, which is an internal matter of India, except to put an end to all cross-border terrorism, infiltration, and support and instigation to terrorism and violence against India. We are in touch with important interlocutors bilaterally as well as multilaterally to put across the correct picture. Let me also state that it does not matter how many letters are written, it will still not whitewash cross-border terrorism.
On to some other news. Well, the second last day of the monsoon session saw the Rajya Sabha pass the amendments to the Maternity Benefit Act of 1961. Now, discussing the bill in the upper house, the members also pitched for paternity leave. They also sought maternity leave for 9 months and bringing surrogate mothers within the ambit of the law. According to Labour Minister Bandaru Dattatreya, the Maternity Benefit Amendment Bill 2016 will increase the participation of women in jobs and also reduce child malnutrition.
The Rajya Sabha on Thursday passed the bill amending the 1961 Maternity Benefits Act. Replying to the discussion on the Maternity Benefit Amendment Bill 2016, Labour Minister Bandaru Dattatreya told the House that it increases maternity leave with pay from 12 weeks to 26 weeks and will apply to all places that employ 10 or more workers. According to the bill, companies and institutions employing over 50 personnel will be required to provide creches for children or pay penalty for violations.
For ministry, taking into the all aspects, we have decided 26 weeks. Only for the 2 children, as I have mentioned. Maternity benefit, it is as a paid absence work. Other important this aspect is, there is a maternity bonus. Maternity bonus that is up to 3,500. Any employer cannot remove on the ground of pregnancy. And also, any employee also, they cannot, employer cannot remove, and employee also will not be permitted to work.
Earlier, Congress MP Rajni Patil initiated the discussion on the bill. Many MPs wanted the unorganized sector to be brought within the ambit of the bill. Along with maternity leave, members also suggested the need for paternity leave.
उन महिलाओं के लिए जो नौकरी पे नहीं है लेकिन काम करती है दिन रात, उनके लिए अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड सेक्टर के लिए भी मंत्री जी आपको कुछ प्रावधान करने की जरूरत है.
Amma has promised to enhance this to 39 weeks, that is almost 9 months paid up salary. That maternity leave will be enhanced to 9 months.
गांव के जो सड़कों खेतों की पगडंडियों से चलकर जो शहरों के मुख्यालय में आकर काम करती हैं, उनके साथ आप कौन सी किसी प्राइवेट जो संस्थान हैं उनसे आपने बात की है? इसको आप कैसे इनको बहनों को लाभ पहुंचाने का काम करेंगे?
I also demand an assurance from the Honorable Minister and the government also that under no circumstances the working women of any segment of our workplaces can be deprived from this benefit on any plea whatsoever.
This is very discriminatory. K.K. Shah ji has already said there are sometimes social pressures where the third child comes into being, or then there is maybe 2. I know of a person who has 2 mentally handicapped children, challenged children, so she wanted to take a chance for the third. So in such a case, will she not be given that maternity leave extension?
But what about the mother who is a surrogate mother? This I would like whether this covers, because from the bill it doesn't look so. And if
the government gave an assurance that the issue of maternity leave for surrogate mothers is being looked into. The Maternity Benefit Amendment Bill 2016 was cleared by the Cabinet on Wednesday. Women and Child Development Minister Maneka Gandhi said the government would try and get the bill passed in Lok Sabha as soon as possible. With Panchanan Mishra, Bureau Inputs, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, now let's listen to some of the reactions after the maternity bill was passed by Rajya Sabha.
जरूरी भी है लेडीज़ों के लिए, क्योंकि घर के भी बहुत सी जिम्मेदारियां रहती है बच्चों के प्रति, घर के प्रति, तो बहुत अच्छी बात है ये।
जो उन्होंने ये स्टेप लिया तो बाकी महिलाओं के लिए भी ये बहुत बेहतर होगी, सभी के लिए ही अच्छा है। पॉजिटिव वे में भी ये है एक अच्छा, या फिर नेगेटिव वे में भी कंपनीज लोग को लॉस होगा, वो लोग अच्छा से काम नहीं कर पाएंगे। दोनों चीज है, नेगेटिव और पॉजिटिव इफेक्ट इसका दोनों चीज है।
प्राइवेट सेक्टर में जो है छोटी मोटी जो कंपनियां कभी भी इस बिल को पास नहीं करने देंगे, वो नहीं मानेंगे इसको, और वो ज्यादातर क्या होगा, वो बोलेंगे कि आप नौकरी छोड़ दीजिए चले जाइए। ऐसा होगा है और ऐसा हुआ भी है, पहले भी हुआ है जब कम दिन का मिलता था तब भी, और अभी भी होगा वैसा।
पैटर्निटी बिल भी होना चाहिए, और ये गाड़ी के दो पहिए हैं, मदर एंड फादर, तो पैटर्निटी लीव भी होनी चाहिए और दोनों को सेम जिम्मेदारी होनी चाहिए।
And the Lok Sabha on Thursday discussed the issue of atrocities against Dalits in the country. During the discussion, the opposition members condemned the incidents of atrocities on Dalits and demanded that the government protect the rights of the community. The opposition also accused the government of failing to prevent such incidents.
Home Minister Rajnath Singh assured the Lok Sabha on Thursday that strict action would be taken against those responsible for recent attacks on Dalits.
यह मैं कहना चाहूँगा कि संविधान के लागू होने के बाद भी पाया गया कि बहुत सारे प्रावधान इफेक्टिव रूप से इन्फोर्स करने के लिए कुछ कानून भी बनाने होंगे, और मैं यह मानता हूं कानून बने भी हैं। हमारी सरकार भी दलितों के उत्पीड़न को रोकने के लिए, दलितों के सोशियो इकोनॉमिक एम्पावरमेंट के लिए कानून बना रही है, नए नए कार्यक्रम ला रही है, यह सब सारी व्यवस्थाएं कर रही है।
Earlier, the lower house of parliament discussed the issue of atrocities against Dalits under Rule 193. CPIM member P.K. Biju spoke about the overall poor condition of Dalits. He also accused the government of not giving equal rights to Dalits, despite the constitution mandating it. Congress MP K.H. Munyappa raised the issue of increase in incidents of atrocities against Dalits.
The government is protect us, but otherwise they have a feeling of the Indian democracy, Indian constitution not give proper safeguard to live as a citizen of this country, sir.
The atrocities on Dalits, you are believing in Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is seeing everything now. What the BJP is doing, what RSS is doing, what the government is doing, he is watching everything. The days is not far away.
Meanwhile, BJD and BJP blamed the judicial system for not taking up these cases promptly and said this had encouraged people to commit these unlawful acts. TMC's Saugata Roy criticized the Prime Minister Modi for his delayed statement on the issue.
Can we force our political party to take up social reform as a political agenda? Then only we can meet this challenge of casteism and its tentacles.
देश में इस तरह का कोई बहुत बड़ा सामाजिक आंदोलन नहीं चला जिसके वजह से तमाम इस तरह की जो पुरातन सोच है, यह दकियानूसी सोच है, जातिवादी सोच है, जिसको समाप्त किया जा सका।
11 जुलाई ऊना में घटना घटा और उनको बयान देने में 26 दिन लग गया। और मैं ये भी पूछने चाहता हूं, अगर बयान दिया ठीक है, लेकिन बयान में ये क्यों नहीं बोला कि मुझे मारो लेकिन दलित और मुस्लिम को मत मारो? दोनों ही तो हो जाता है। He left out the word Muslim.
The debate was taken up in the wake of the flogging of 4 Dalit men who were skinning a dead cow by alleged cow protectors in Gujarat. With Ravindra Singh and Pranav Goswami, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's move on in the bulletin. Well, the CBI has filed a charge sheet in the Antrix Devas deal case. The agency has named ex-ISRO chairman G. Madhavan Nair and other senior officials in the charge sheet. They have been accused of facilitating wrongful gain of 578 crore rupees to private multimedia company Devas by Antrix, the commercial arm of ISRO. They have been accused of committing offences under the various sections of the Indian Penal Code pertaining to cheating and certain provisions of the Prevention of Corruption Act. They are alleged to being a party to the criminal conspiracy with an intent to cause undue gain to themselves or to others by abusing their official positions. It has been alleged that the government officials abuse their positions to favour Devas by giving them rights of delivery of videos, multimedia, content and information services to mobile phones using S-band through GSAT-6 and GSAT-6A satellites and terrestrial systems in India. Madhavan Nair had been questioned by the CBI in May this year. The charge sheet comes a month after India lost its arbitration case in an international tribunal over Antrix scrapping a deal with Devas and is liable to pay a compensation which could run into millions of dollars.
Established by all the inquiry forum and official mechanism of CAG that there is nothing wrong with the Devas agreement. It would have brought in the handheld communication in the country in a big way and earned a revenue of 1,300 crores. Such a positive contract based on which how they can raise allegation on the people who are responsible for establishing such a contract.
Well, time to take a very short break here. We'll be back with more news, including some good news from Rio Games. Stay tuned.
Approximately maybe 40% of the under 5 children are undernourished. The type of food that you take, and second thing is your physical activity also. That is something which has become a casualty in this modern day life. It is a question of moderation that needs to be adopted by the people to have a healthy lifestyle.
Watch Eureka with Dr. P. Uday Kumar, Senior Deputy Director, National Institute of Nutrition, only on Rajya Sabha Television.
Welcome back after the break. Now, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi will arrive in India today on a 3-day visit. Wang shall start his visit from Goa and hold talks with his Indian counterpart Sushma Swaraj on Saturday. Swaraj and Wang will discuss a host of issues of mutual interest, including the upcoming G20 summit and the BRICS summit to be held in Goa in October this year. India is also expected to raise India's Nuclear Suppliers Group membership or the NSG membership bid, which was stalled by China at the plenary meeting of the 48-nation grouping in June. Now, Wang's visit also comes just days after Chinese troops transgressed the border on land and by air in Chamoli district of Uttarakhand last month. Now, Wang will also meet the local leadership of Goa, including Governor Mridula Sinha and Chief Minister Lakshmikant Parikh. And Republican Donald Trump has described US President Barack Obama as the founder of the Islamic State group while calling Hillary Clinton a co-founder. Now, Trump's remarks came at a rally in Miami on Thursday, igniting fresh criticism of his inflammatory campaigning style. Now, Trump stood by his comments during an interview later to a television channel. While a Democratic nominee, Hillary Clinton, responded by accusing Trump of trash-talking the United States, the White House declined to comment. However, it is not the first time that Trump has called Obama and Clinton the founders or the supporters of Islamic State. He has long blamed President Obama and his former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton for pursuing Middle East policies that created a power vacuum in Iraq that was exploited by the Islamic State.
Our government isn't giving us good protection. Our government has unleashed ISIS. I call President Obama and Hillary Clinton the founders of ISIS. They're the founders. In fact, I think we'll give Hillary Clinton the, if you're on a sports team, most valuable player, MVP. You get the MVP award. ISIS will hand her the most valuable player award. Her only competition is Barack Obama between the two of them.
And 2 bombs exploded in the Thai resort of Hua Hin, killing 4 people and injuring 19 people, including some foreign tourists. Now, the bombs were hidden in plant pots and they detonated within half an hour of each other, with the first exploding at around 10 p.m. local time. The second blast caused a majority of the casualties, killing a Thai woman and injuring several foreigners. 5 foreigners are reported to be among the injured. The explosions happened ahead of a public holiday on Friday to mark the birthday of Queen Sirkit. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attack. Now, police are investigating and are yet to know the motive or the identity of the bombers. Now, Hua Hin is an upmarket coastal resort and is popular with foreign and Thai visitors. Well, Sri Lanka's parliament has unanimously adopted a bill to set up an office to help find some 65,000 people reported missing during the country's armed conflicts. The bill also seeks to clarify the circumstances under which the people have disappeared. The draft bill to establish an office on missing persons was passed with amendments in parliament without a vote. The bill was adopted despite objections raised by the joint opposition, which alleged that the bill will betray the military. Now, Mangala Samarvira, the foreign minister, was continuously disrupted by the opposition members who forced the suspension of sittings. So when the bill was taken up for debate, they claimed that the government was betraying the security forces through the legislation on the Office of Missing Persons. The government said that the bill was needed to facilitate across the services and benefits offered by the state to the families of missing persons in the absence of a death certificate. Sri Lanka has one of the largest caseloads of missing persons in the entire world. And time now to get you all the news from Rio Olympic Games. Well, first up, good news coming in from India. Well, the mixed doubles pair of Sania Mirza and Rohan Bopanna and men's hockey team sealed the quarter-final spots at the Rio Olympics, even as India's campaign continued to be haunted by setbacks in archery, boxing and women's hockey on the 6th day of the competition. Well, India's ace tennis stars Sania Mirza and Rohan Bopanna advanced to the mixed doubles quarter-final. The duo defeated the Australian pair of Samantha Stosur and Jimmy Peres 7-5, 6-4 in straight sets. Sania and Bopanna will now take on British combination of Andy Murray and Heather Watson for a place in the semi-finals. Meanwhile, shuttlers PV Sindhu and Saina Nehwal made winning starts in their women's singles badminton campaign. 9th seed Sindhu sparked Laura Sarosi of Hungary in the women's singles competition, while Saina Nehwal saw off Brazil's Lohane Visetti 21-17, 21-17 in straight games. Meanwhile, in the men's singles event, K. Srikanth defeated Mexico's Lino Muroz in the opening match. Meanwhile, the doubles pair of Jwala Gutta and Ashwini Ponappa and men's doubles pair of Manu Atri and B. Sumit Reddy lost their respective first group stage matches. And Indian men's hockey team reached the quarterfinals after a gap of 36 years at the ongoing Rio Olympics, despite beaten 1-2 by the Netherlands. And this was India's second loss in 4 Pool B games. Meanwhile, Indian women's hockey team also suffered defeat against US in their Pool B clash. And India's challenge in women's archery ended after both Deepika Kumari and Bombyala Devi lost their respective pre-quarter final matches. Well, Deepika lost to world number 2 Tang Ya-Ting of Chinese Taipei 0-6, while Bombya lost to Alexandra Valencia of Mexico 2-6. Meanwhile, in boxing, Shiva Thapa crashed out of the Olympics after losing to Cuba's Rosie Ramirez 0-3 in the men's bantamweight category. Thapa was on the back foot from the beginning of the contest and was well beaten on points, losing all the 3 rounds.
A little bit of caution about.
Well, let's take a look at some more events that made headlines at the Rio Games. Well, defending champion Andy Murray survived a scare to reach the Olympic men's single quarterfinals, but Johanna Konta exited the women's singles. Now, Murray fought back after losing 8 successive games to register a 6-1, 2-6, 6-3 victory over Italian Fabio Fognini. He will next face American Steve Johnson in the singles last eight on Friday. Now, American Kayla Harrison defeated France's Audrey Tauchmago to successfully defend her Olympic title and created a legacy as one of the all-time greats in judo. She also became the first to win multiple Olympic gold medals in the women's 78-kilogram category. And Slovakian cousins of Ladislav Skater and Peter Skater took gold in the men's C2 canoeing final at the Rio Games. David Florence and Richard Hongslow narrowly missed out to win a silver, while top-ranked Gauthier Claus and Matthew Pesch of France took bronze. Let's take a look at the overall medals tally on day 6. Well, US tops the list with 38 medals. That includes 16 gold and 12 silver and 10 bronze. China takes the second spot with 30 medals, including 11 gold, 8 silver and 11 bronze, while Japan retains the third spot with 6 gold medals. News from the cricket world. Well, rain washed out day 3 of the third test between India and West Indies in Trinidad on Thursday. Well, overnight thunderstorms and incessant rain washed out the third day's play without a ball being bowled. Now, riding on Craig Braithwaite's unbeaten 53-run knock, West Indies finished on 107 for 1 at stumps on day 2. Earlier, India had scored 353 runs in their first innings after R. Ashwin and Wriddhiman Saha struck fighting centuries. Ashwin made 118 runs while Saha made 104. The duo stitched a marathon 213-run partnership. Later, India lost their last 5 wickets with just 37 runs to be 353 all out in the second session. That's all in this edition of news. Thanks so much for watching.